Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating text by Sui Feng that completely flips traditional spirituality on its head. I mean, instead of preaching denial or asceticism, this philosophy actually celebrates human nature in its most vibrant forms. It's a bold perspective that asks us to totally reconsider how we view our most fundamental drives. We begin with this stunning imagery right from the source material. The author uses this beautiful phrasing to set a really vibrant baseline for everything that follows. By painting a picture of gentle breezes, drifting clouds, and rushing rivers, the text frames all of life and every natural urge you and I have as the ultimate expression of the universe. It's all part of one grand unfolding system.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the way of nature, the four pillars of life, the aesthetic illusion, and finally, elevating, not eliminating.
Let's jump right into part one, the way of nature, the ultimate path of the universe. To really understand human desire here, we first have to understand what the text calls the way of nature. The author establishes that absolutely everything arises perfectly within this system. Just like the cycle of the seasons, spring bringing growth, winter bringing storage, things like romance or the union of yin and yang aren't flaws, they aren't deviations. They are literally the universe functioning exactly as it was designed to.
Which brings us to part two, the four pillars of life, redefining our core.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The author takes four concepts that are usually pretty highly charged in spiritual circles and completely reframes them. Emotion, love, sex, and beauty aren't just abstract ideas here. They are physically mapped onto the world around us. Emotion is the swaying willow. Love is the fragrant flower. The argument is that humans, as the essence of nature, should embody these elements just as freely and unapologetically as the natural world does. Let's zoom in on the definition of sex for a second, because we really must reframe it to grasp this text. In this philosophy, it's not just a physical act. No, it's the fundamental exuberance and expression of nature itself. To the author, a towering mountain peak or a butterfly fluttering is a manifestation of this exact same vital energy. It is, quite simply, life itself. So the crucial takeaway here is that these elements are the source of all pleasure and the essential driving forces that actually keep us alive. The text asserts that if you removed emotion, love, sex, and beauty, the world wouldn't suddenly become pure or holy. Actually, scratch that. It would just become a bleak, indifferent, and completely dead wasteland. Moving on to part three, the aesthetic illusion, a vehement critique. Here, the author launches a pretty aggressive critique against traditions that suppress desire. We really have to ask the big question that the text tackles head-on. Can you truly reach a state of Elysium or spiritual enlightenment if you strip away your own fundamental human nature? Well, the source material vigorously argues no, claiming that attempting to transcend these natural drives is actually an act of supreme ignorance. Just look at this stark dichotomy. The text directly contrasts people who embrace these natural elements against those who reject them, and it uses some shockingly harsh imagery. Immersing yourself leads to boundless vitality and splendor, but rejecting them? That doesn't make you enlightened. According to the author, it turns you into an expressionless mummy, a lifeless zombie, or even a greedy demon. The source argues so passionately here. It essentially says that completely discarding these elements renders a person worse than lifeless. By trying to cut off the very forces that make up the way of nature, the author claims that true spiritual connection becomes completely impossible. You aren't transcending nature, you are simply killing your own spirit. The author even injects some aggressive humor to make the point. He completely mocks the common ascetic idea that indulging in sex and emotion physically depletes a person's spiritual energy. I mean, comparing the absurdity of that claim to energy just flowing out of a sewage pipe or a toilet, that is a bold, unmistakable way of completely dismissing the idea that natural union is a drain on our vitality. And this is where the text fundamentally challenges the ascetic worldview. It basically asks, an enlightenment completely devoid of these four pillars, is that even true enlightenment at all? Without love, beauty, or emotion, how could it possibly be called bliss? It would just be a desolate, howling wasteland. So what exactly is the alternative? That brings us to part four, elevating, not eliminating, the path forward. If we shouldn't suppress these forces, how do we actually interact with them?
Well, the source material includes some supplementary commentary from a figure known as the Fayan Celestial, and it provides the vital answer we are looking for. It shifts our focus entirely away from the physical actions themselves and onto the spiritual quality of our conscious mind. Basically, the activities aren't the problem, it's our mindset that matters.
Here is the practical framework of the whole philosophy. You aren't just given a free pass to blindly indulge, but you're also not told to rigidly suppress. Instead, the goal is to remove mental constraints, transform your consciousness, and elevate those drives. You engage with the absolute beauty of life, but you do it with a heart that is completely detached and free.
So, true cultivation looks a lot like this. A spiritually perfect person experiences life's vital elements freely, but they recognize that any energy drain comes from a misplaced, obsessive mental trap, not the natural act itself. It is all about enjoying the profound beauty of the world without letting it become a cage for your mind.
I want to leave you with this to reflect upon. Based on this philosophy, are you truly allowing yourself to experience the natural vibrancy of the world? Or are your own rigid thoughts acting as a barrier? The universe's most powerful forces aren't things to be feared or suppressed, but understood, elevated, and experienced with a truly free mind. Thanks so much for exploring this incredible perspective with us.